Shimano Di2 LED lights explained. If you've got Shimano Di2 electronic shifters on your bike, you've got a couple little LED lights right here, and I'm going to tell you what they all mean. You may have a junction box on the end of your handlebars like this one. You may have a junction box that's external. That would be a box that might be mounted under your stem or under your handlebars in the front. Whether you have this kind of junction box or you have the external one, it's still going to have two LED lights here and a function button. The one on the left has a little battery symbol underneath of it. The first thing these lights can tell you is your battery charge and what shift mode you are in, if you have a bike that's capable of different shift modes. So all you need to do is press any of your shifters for half of a second and the lights will activate. Now when you do that, two things are going to happen. First, it's going to show you your battery charge, and then it's going to show you what shift mode you are in. So when I press this shifter, it shows me I have a green light for the battery, and then it flashes 3 times, which tells me I'm in full synchro mode. If I were in semi-synchro mode, it would only flash twice. If I were in manual mode, those two lights would just come on solid for 2 seconds. So once again, press any shifter for half a second and get your battery indicator and then your shift mode indicator. Now the battery indicator, when that starts flashing green, that means you're down to about 50% battery life. If it's red, you're under 50%, and if it's flashing red, you're at 25 or less, so you need to get that charged. And this, of course, would be your charging port to charge your battery. The next thing these lights can do is to tell you what function you're in as you use this button to go to different functions. So the first one is Bluetooth pairing mode. So when you press this button for about a half of a second, the lights are going to flash alternately like this, and that means you're in Bluetooth pairing mode. Now this only helps you if you have the Bluetooth wireless module, also known as the D-Fly, installed in your bike. It does not come standard on the 10 and 11 speed Di2. You have to add that yourself, but this will help you get into pairing mode so you can pair your smartphone to your wireless module and make the changes you want to make. Now if you hold this button down for 2 seconds, this red light will come on solid, and this means you are in derailleur adjustment mode. So now you can use the shifters on the rear and the front derailleurs to make micro adjustments to your derailleurs if they're not properly adjusted, if you hear a little bit of noise. I don't recommend doing that until you read up a little bit on how that's done. Now the last thing that this light can tell you is if you have a crash and your rear derailleur takes an impact and it no longer works, you might just need to go into Shimano crash recovery mode. So all that means is when you crash, sometimes the derailleur disconnects the cage from the motor. In order to get that back and working, you press this button for more than 5 seconds and that light will start flashing, and then it's going to cycle your derailleur back until it engages again. If your derailleur is in crash mode, it may take a couple of seconds for that to happen. Then both lights will flash to let you know everything's good and you're back in business. All right, if you found this video helpful, please subscribe, hit like below, and thank you for watching. In this video, I'm just going to go over the Shimano Di2 shift modes, semi-synchro shift mode and full synchro shift mode, how to know which of the shift modes you're in, and how to change modes. In order to check and switch the Shimano Di2 shift modes, you want to look at these LEDs here. So all I'm going to do is press one of the shift levers and hold it down for a half a second. First we're going to get the battery indicator, and then we're going to get the shift indicator. So how to quickly determine what shift mode you're in on your Di2 shifters, you have two LEDs down here. This left-hand light first comes on to show your battery status. There's a little battery indicator here. So you press it for a half a second. That's a flashing green. That's telling me I'm between 50 and 75%. But right after the green light goes, then both lights will either flash or come on solid. Okay, so if you press your shifter and you get a battery light and then you get the red and green both solid for 2 seconds, that means you're in manual mode. Now I just switched it to semi-synchro, so when you press your button, battery indicator, and then it flashes twice, both LEDs flash twice, that means you're in semi-synchro. And I'm now changing it to full synchro mode. So if you press your lever, hold it, get your battery indicator, and then it flashes, both lights flash 3 times, that means you're in full synchro mode. And to change between modes, it cycles from one mode to the next, so you just have to click this button 2 quick times. It's kind of like a mouse click. You got to do it 2 quick times in succession, and it moves on to the next mode. So if I click it again, 2 flashes, that means I'm in semi-synchro. Click it again, 3 flashes, that means I'm in full synchro. 2 more clicks and I'm back to manual mode. So that's how you change the modes. So what do the modes mean exactly? In semi-synchro mode, whenever you change from the large chainring in the front to the small chainring in the front, the Shimano Di2 will automatically compensate for that big jump in gears by moving the chain 2 gears higher on the rear. And vice versa, when changing from the small chainring to the large chainring, the Di2 will automatically compensate in the other direction. So let me show what happens here. So we're on the big chainring. I'm going to move to the small chainring, and you'll notice in the back it jumped 2 gears to compensate. Now we're going to do the same. I'm going to move from the small chainring to the large chainring, and in the back it compensated by moving the chain up 2 gears. Okay, in full synchro mode, right now we're in a very low gear, and all you need to do is use the rear derailleur to move the chain to harder gears, and as you do that, when the chain gets to the third to the hardest gear, it's automatically going to shift your front derailleur to the larger chain ring, and at the same time it's going to compensate by moving the rear derailleur back up 2 gears to avoid that big jump in gears again. So let me show you what that looks like. So right now we're in the easiest gear, large chain ring in the back, small chain ring in the front, and I'm just going to use the rear derailleur and change the cogs one by one, and it's going to get increasingly harder. When it gets to about the third from the hardest gear, the front derailleur is automatically going to shift the chain to the large chain ring, and at the same time it's going to compensate in the rear by moving the chain back up 2 cogs. So let's watch that happen. So right here it makes the change, and you see where we're at in the back, and you just continue. Now we're going to go in the opposite direction. We're in the hardest gear right now. We're just going to one by one, using the rear derailleur only. Let me slow the wheel down a little bit. Using the rear derailleur only, we're going to move to easier gears, and then on the next gear change, the front chain ring is going to automatically move to the smaller chain ring in the front. Like that, and then it compensates by moving the chain back 2 gears. And as we continue to press the rear derailleur, it gets to the easier gears. So it just saves you a bunch of steps as you go through your gears. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below, and please subscribe. This will be a quick video on how to check the battery status of your Shimano Di2 shifters. Also, how to determine quickly what shift mode you are currently in. Also, how to change the shift mode from manual shift to semi-synchro and to full synchro. I'm going to show you 2 ways to check your battery status. One is going to be using the LEDs on your junction box, and the other one is going to be on your computer, where you can actually see the percentage of the battery, and I'll show you how to do both of those. So on the Shimano Di2 system, this would be called a junction box. There are different types of junction boxes. This one fits in the bar end, obviously. There are other ones that sometimes are connected to the handlebar, but they're both going to have 2 LEDs. So the easiest way to check your battery status before you head out for a ride is just press any of your shifters for about a half a second. When you press any of your shifters for a half a second, it's going to show you your battery status, and then it's going to show you the shift mode that you're in. So right now this is showing that my battery status is good, between 75% and 100%, and my shift mode is in manual shift mode. So the battery indicator, if it's green, that means it's between 75% and 100%. If it blinks green, then it's between 50% and 75%. If it is solid red, that's 25% to 50%. And if it is blinking red, you need to charge it because it is down to 0 to 25%. So another way for you to check your battery on your Shimano Di2 shifters, and this way will actually give you the actual percentage of battery that is left rather than just LED lights. But you will need to have the wireless unit added to your bike. So you do need the wireless unit, sometimes called the D-Fly, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to get this. It does not come, no matter how much you spend on your bike, it does not come with the wireless unit. But once you hook up the wireless and you connect it to your computer, now I have a Wahoo Element here, a couple of awesome things. One is you can opt to have this display which shows you what gear you're in. At first I didn't think I was going to use this, but I look at this all the time. So now I don't have to look down at my gears. I can see exactly where I am. And I'll show you. Let's see. So let's go. It didn't actually shift because I'm not pedaling, but you can see that it went from, I'll go to the other one here, just shifted, and it shows me where I'm at. So anyway, if you want to see your battery, so you just go to the menu on the Wahoo Element, and we're going to go down to Shimano Di2, scroll down, Shimano Di2, hit more. There you go, my battery is at 90%. So that is an awesome feature if you have the wireless unit, which I highly recommend. Changing shift modes is very easy. You need to press this button 2 quick times, and it's going to go to the next mode. There's 3 modes. There's manual, semi-synchro, and full synchro. So each time you click this twice, it's going to go to the next mode. So now it's in full synchro mode. When I go to check the battery, it's going to show me the same, pretty full battery, and then it's going to blink 3 times, and that's telling me it's in full synchro mode right now. So on the fly, you can just change it to whatever you want. Today I'm going to show you how to use Shimano Di2 adjustment mode to make minor adjustments to your rear derailleur. If your derailleur is a little noisy, or if your shifts aren't as crisp as they should be, you might just need to go into adjustment mode and tweak the position and the indexing of your rear derailleur. I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm actually going to be adjusting an RX Ultegra Di2 rear derailleur, but it works the same as the original Ultegra Di2 as far as the adjustment mode. In order to adjust the Di2 rear derailleur, you want to have the chain in the middle cog. So this is an 11-speed cassette, so we want to have the chain right in the middle of the cassette, so that would be the 5th gear from either end. So your Di2 system is going to have a junction box with 2 LEDs and a button on it. If it's not on the end of the bar like mine is, it might be hanging underneath here. It's going to be a box. It'll have 2 LEDs. It'll look different than this, but it's still going to have the button and the 2 LEDs. So to put your bike into adjustment mode, all you need to do is press the button and hold it for about 5 seconds until the red light comes on solid. While the bike is in adjustment mode, when you press the small paddle, the derailleur will move 0.2 millimeters just slightly to the right, which is the same direction that this paddle normally moves the derailleur. And if you press the large paddle, it'll move in the opposite direction or to the left 0.2 millimeters. And I'll show you what that looks like on the derailleur. Okay, I got this zoomed in on the very top of the derailleur there. And so now I'm just going to tap the button and move it the other way. Just moves a little bit. So now I'm going to move it while the bike is working. Okay, now as you can see, sounds okay. It's a little noisy right there. Move it back in. There it goes. Now it's right in a sweet spot. And there you go. That's all it takes to adjust your rear derailleur. So I'll put the microphone right next to the gear so you can hear what it sounds like as I'm adjusting it. Alright, that worked perfectly. So now I'm just going to shift my gears all the way up and down to make sure everything shifts normally after I take it out of adjustment mode. Alright, I'm just going to take it back out of adjustment mode by pressing the button, get a little flash, and then it's out of adjustment mode. Perfect. Alright, if you like this video, please subscribe and hit like below. I'd really appreciate it, and thank you for watching. Today I'm going to show you how to charge your Shimano Di2 battery. So right here is your charging port. So what you're going to need to charge it is you're going to need the Shimano charger, SM-BCR2 charger. On one end has the special Shimano connector on it. So the other side of the charger is just a micro USB connector. Then you want to plug the USB into either a computer, like a standard charging block like this, or a higher power block like this. This puts out 10 watts. This is going to charge your Di2 battery a lot quicker. This will work fine. It'll take a little bit longer. And if you plug it into a computer, it's going to take even longer yet due to the power output. So when you plug it in, the charger is going to have an orange light under the charge icon right here. But when the charge is over, that light's going to go out and your Shimano Di2 battery will be fully charged at that point. So in order to determine how much charge is on your Di2 battery, we want to look at the left-hand icon right here. There's an LED on the left side. There's a little battery symbol right here. So all you need to do is press any of your shift levers for about a half a second, and that light is going to come on. After it comes on for 2 seconds, both lights are going to flash or do something else. That has to do with your shift mode, which I talk about in a different video. But all we're worried about is this light for about 2 seconds after you hit your shift switch. So you push your shifter, comes on solid green. That means we're between 75% and 100%. If it's flashing green, it's 50 to 75%. If it's red, it's 25 to 50%. And if it's flashing red, it's just about dead. So you want to get it charged if it comes up red. So the actual Shimano Di2 battery is located in different areas depending on the bike that you have. I have a Trek Domani, and on this particular Trek, the Di2 battery is in the hidden compartment in here. So this is actually the end of the battery. It's a long tube-like structure, but it's right down in here. So that's actually the battery that we're charging, where it's located. Depending on the bike that you have, your battery might be located in the seat tube, where you'll have to take the seat off or the seat post out to get to the battery. Those are the two different types that I know about. There might be others in there, but just so you know, the battery is usually internally mounted on some bikes, and it could be externally mounted on some bikes as well. All right, if you like this video, please hit like below, and please subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching. Today I want to talk about 3 awesome features of the Shimano Di2 wireless system. So I have a Shimano Di2 wireless shifters on my Trek Domani. It's the 11-speed system, and it did not come with the wireless module. I don't think most of them do. The 12 speeds do come wireless enabled, but it's very easy to add the wireless module. You can get it on Amazon. I'll put a link below, and you'll want to get a little wire along with that. I've made a video on how I added it to mine, and it's pretty simple to do. You can check the link. I'll put it up here in the corner as well as in the description, so you can go there and see how that's done. Let's get to the 3 awesome features. So the first awesome feature is the eTube app, which allows you to wirelessly connect your phone to your bike, and you can configure your shifters very easily that way. Just to show you a little bit on how it works and what you can do, you'll just connect up to your bike. It'll go in, you can go into the synchronized shift at the top, and you can configure it once you put in what crank set and cassette you have. Then you can go back and you can configure your synchronized shifting to shift the way you like it. You can check your battery in the maintenance tab. Then you can go in and make sure you have up-to-date software for each component of the system. Then you can configure each of the buttons on the shifters to do what you want it to do and make it totally customizable. It's really an awesome application for configuring your shifters. The second awesome feature of the Shimano Di2 wireless system capabilities is you have hidden buttons on the top of each hood here, and you can configure these buttons to control your computer. So if you look here, as I press this button, I have it set up to do the function that this button would normally do. So this button, normally when you press it, it goes to the next page. I have different pages. I have the GPS page, I have my hill climbing page, I have my Strava segment page, my gear shift page. So this is set up so when I press this, it will go to the next page, which is just a super awesome feature, especially you're cranking up a hill, you're really tired, you don't want to take your hands off the handlebars, or if you're flying down a hill and for some reason you need to look at a different stat on your computer, all you need to do is continue holding your handlebars and you can control it this way. Now this button over here is programmed to do what this button would normally do. When I first saw this feature, I didn't think I would use it much, but I find myself using this feature quite often, mostly when climbing up a hill. The third awesome feature of the Shimano Di2 wireless system is by far my favorite feature, and that is, if you've noticed, on my screen it shows me what gear I'm in. It shows me where the chain is on my cassette in the back and on the crankset in the front. On the Wahoo, you can also set it up to be much larger on its own page, as I have here. When I change gears, about half a second later, it shows up here that I've changed gears. And again, I didn't think I was going to use this, but I look at that all the time. I rarely, if ever, look down at my cassette anymore to see what gear that I'm in, because it's right here, it's reliable, it's always there. This is my main page where I normally have everything. You can see what I have set up on here. And again, you can customize all this inside the Wahoo app to change Wahoo. With Garmin, it's very similar. You can do the same type of thing. It also, in digits, can tell you. You can see that it says you're in gear 2 on the crankset and gear 7 on the cassette. 7 from the inside, so that's the 7th one over. So I just think that's the coolest thing. Thanks for watching the video. You can see the links in the description for more information on the wireless unit. How to check the battery level of your wireless Di2 shifters on your Wahoo Element Roam. So if you've got the wireless feature on your Di2 shifters and it's connected to your Wahoo Roam computer, not only can I see what gear I'm in on my computer, but I can also just check the battery real quick before I roll out for a ride. All you need to do is hit the menu key, scroll down to the Di2. This is the Di2 right there. This is showing me the signal strength between my Di2 wireless module, which is in my bike, which is behind me, and the computer. So I got a pretty good signal here. So if you highlight the Di2 and just hit more, it's going to give you your battery percentage of your Di2. So my battery right now is 50% on my Di2. So I am going to plug that in and start charging that back up. I like that to be closer to 100%, and that's how you do it. If your Shimano Di2 shifters did not come with the wireless feature, or you don't have the wireless feature, you can add it. I'll link to a video that I have how to do that, but you can also check your battery level simply by pressing one of the junction box buttons, and I'll show you that next. So if you want to check the battery, all you need to do is press any of the shifters for half of a second. You're going to immediately get an indication on this battery icon right here, and then it's immediately after that going to show you what shift mode you're in. So the first light is all we're worried about right here. So if we hold it, it's a flashing green over the battery. So that tells us that we have somewhere around 50% charge left on the Di2 battery. So it's time to plug it in and charge it. If it's solid green, that means you've got closer to between 50 and 100%. All right, so if you found this video helpful, please subscribe and hit like below, and thanks for watching. How to check your Shimano Di2 battery level on your Wahoo Element, Roam, or Bolt computer. There's your battery power right there. I'm going to show you how to do that. If your Wahoo Element is wirelessly connected to your Shimano Di2 system, as you can see here, you have to have the wireless unit. If you don't have that, I'll show a link to a video on how to install that into your bike so you have the wireless capability. So all you need to do on the Wahoo is go into the menu by pressing the power button one time. Goes into the menu, scroll down to the Shimano Di2 sensor, and by the way, that does show the signal strength of the wireless connection. Press more, and there you have it. Your battery is 90%. My battery is 90% on my Di2 system. This percentage up here is the battery level of the actual Wahoo. And then just to get out of it, hit back, press your menu key again over here one time, and there you are. You can do that on the fly while you're riding, and it's very easy to do. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button below and please subscribe. Thanks for watching. Today I'm going to show you how to install a Shimano Di2 wireless unit into a 2021 Trek Domani SL7. As you see here, it's going to be installed right in the down tube area. It's going to be a nice clean installation. The Di2 wireless unit does not come with the bike, as I found out. You can hook your bike up to a computer and make some changes that way, but this wireless unit will allow you for your Di2 system to communicate with your Garmin or your Wahoo or other bike computer, as well as you can download the app to your phone and you can make changes and set up your derailleurs that way. It's much more convenient. This is the Trek Domani SL7, and it is my first experience with the Di2 shifters, which are absolutely fantastic. The shifting is just unbelievable on this bike. So I want to get everything I can out of it. So to do that, you need to order a couple of extra parts. So this is what you're going to need. You're going to need the Shimano wireless unit for Di2, sometimes called the D-Fly. It is Bluetooth and Ant Plus compatible. And in order to install it, you're going to need a piece of wire to kind of shunt it in there into the existing Di2 system. All right, so this is the shortest wire I could find on Amazon. It's 150 millimeter. You don't want something too long, then you're just going to have a lot of extra to get rid of. So that's that part. And then here you have some instructions, but really what you want to do is go to this, use this QR code on your phone and go to this website, and that'll open up the whole manual for you. So it's going to be pretty simple. What we're going to do is we're going to connect this wire here, and we're going to plug this into an existing connection within the bike, and then whatever connection that originally was connected to is going to go in here. So I'll show you what I mean. Here is a very simplified block diagram of what we're actually doing here. So there's a battery, it's a long thin battery that's in your down tube, and there's wires that connect it to the rest of the system. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove the wire from the battery, and in its place, here's the wire we just removed. We're going to put the wireless unit in line with it, and we're going to use the 150 millimeter extra cable to connect it back to the battery. So in the end, it's going to look like this. One other very important thing you need to know is your bike needs to have one of these batteries. This is the part number of the battery that you need to have in your bike in order for this to work. Either the BT-DN110 or the BM-DN100. So the best place, I think, on this particular bike is going to be to connect it at the battery itself, which the battery is down inside here. This is a really cool, there's a storage area in here, but also this comes off real easy. And down inside here, that tan piece right there is the top of the battery. And what we're gonna have to do is unscrew that. On the back here are 2 screws. Oh, look at the dirt on my new bike already. There's 2 screws back here. We're gonna undo those, and then I will be able to pull out that battery, and we're gonna connect it right to that. So first, let me get this really cool Bontrager tool pouch out of here. All right, so these screws turn out to be 2.5 millimeter. So we're just gonna go ahead and remove these 2 screws here. All right, the 2 screws are out. Little screws there. All right, so that big black cable is one of the brake cables. So that we definitely don't want to mess with that, but it looks like the bracket that kind of holds the battery, that black bracket there, is clipped to that. So we're just gonna kind of separate that from the cable and pull it out from underneath that cable. Okay, so I had to finagle this around a little bit. It's sitting in there like that, and I kind of had to flip it around carefully and then pull it out. So here's the battery, and right on it somewhere, and there's the part number right on there. That's what I saw before. I pulled this out before I bought the wireless unit to make sure that part number was the same. So basically, all we need to do now is disconnect this wire and connect the wire to the wireless module, and then the other little wire off the wireless module is going to connect to the battery. And I'm going to show you how to do all that. All right, so when you have the battery out, you're going to need this special Shimano tool. Came with my Di2 system, and it's got a little tiny wrench kind of thing on one side to pull a connector apart, and then it's got a little holder here that's going to push the connections back together, and I'll show you exactly how that works. So you want to take this and kind of slide it in there, get a good grip on that connector, and then kind of push it straight out, and it comes out, and that's all there is to the connector. There's the connection. So now we want to take this new cable that I got from Amazon, Shimano cable, and using this, just kind of push it in there like that. So it just kind of holds it like that. Then we're going to line it up here and just push it straight in until you hear that little snap. Okay, so to put the cable back in there, take the other end of the tool, kind of slides in there like that. It's just a holder. It's just going to hold that for you. And then just line that up nice and straight, and just gently push till you hear that little snap. Now that's seated. Now the other end of this cable is going to get connected to one end of this device, and we're going to put that in the same way, just to hold it straight and nice and easy. It takes a fair amount of force, but if you do it nice and straight, you won't have any problem, and it just kind of pops in there. So now we have this, the battery connected to the wireless unit. And then the last thing is to reconnect the connector that goes to the bike. Do that the same way. Just nice and straight. Hear the little pop. All right. Now I should be good to go. All right, now that that's connected, first I think I'm probably going to fire it up, make sure it works, connect to the app before I secure this back into the bike. All right, so I just fired up my Wahoo, and I'm going to go into settings mode. You just press this button and this button in case you've forgotten. I guess I'm going to go down to, I think I'm going to go down to add sensor. Hold next to sensor. Now I'm going to just activate this to make sure it turns on. Ooh, yeah, it picked it up. Shimano Di2, save, yes. Add gear selection data field to pages, you betcha, yes. All right, it is working. Okay. Turn this off. I think for everything to save. Okay, so what you want to do is go into your Wahoo Element app and select customize your pages. This is my workout page. So go into your workout page and select, and it says gear visual. And it shows you, I'm in my front small gear and right about in the middle in the rear gear. Whether you need that information or not, it's there for you if you need to see it on your computer. Okay, now that I verified that it's working, I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna put it back in here. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, when this is back in here, it's gonna be sitting kind of like this. It's gonna be sitting right about here. So what I think I wanna do is, after it's in there, I'm not gonna be able to do this till after it's in there because I'm gonna have to move it up here to get it in. But I just wanna show you what I'm gonna do. There's some slots in this little holder here. So what I'm gonna do after I get it slid back in there, I'm gonna try and just snap this wire into this little holder on the end here, just to kind of keep things held in place and to keep this thing from bouncing around too much. I have to go this way first. Kind of come back out. And I have this hydraulic cable, I just want to make sure that's on top. And then I'm gonna line up the screws from the back and get those screws put back in. Okay, this is going to be a little tricky to film this while I'm doing it, but I'm going to feed the screw in the top hole from the other side. All right, you can see it come through there. I'm going to get the screw lined up with the other side of this little holder here. All right, I screws just tighten up the holder because I don't want to crank it down till I can get in there and make sure there's no wires underneath of it. Perfect. All right, so now just going to kind of snap in the hydraulic wire there back in that holder. And then I'm going to try and line up the lower screw and get that snug back up. So I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to snap it in to this little slot here, just to keep that module from flopping around in there too much. Okay, I have it secured in there so that module's not going to bounce around in there, just kind of loose. All right, now I'm going to snug up the screws and we should be good to go. All right, everything's snugged up. Hydraulic brake cable is secured. As much of that. Let me get this other wire secured in there too. That's the Di2 running to the rear. So you want to get that snug as well. All right, now before I close everything up, just want to make sure That's working. Front derailleur. Working. And we still have our gear shift showing up here. As I move it, it jumps around. All right, everything's working. So let's put the tools back in. Always carefully, because you got those wires in there. There we go. Well, you don't need this too often. Not the easiest to get in and out, but it works. Everything fits just right in there. Oh, just had to twist it a little bit there. That's good. Then we get this back in there. All good to go. One more test of the derailleurs. Cool. Now that the wireless unit is installed, next thing you want to do is download the eTube app on your phone and then connect it up to that. I will be doing a video on that. It'll be out in a few days. So make sure you hit subscribe down below, and links to the wireless unit and the extra wire will be down in the description below. Thanks for watching. I'm going to show you how to pair up your Shimano Di2 wireless shifters with a Wahoo Element cycling computer so you can see what gear you're in right on your computer screen. It's pretty awesome. First, we're going to pair up the Shimano Di2 with the computer, and then we're going to configure it with your Wahoo app. Okay, so first to pair your wireless Di2, you need to activate your shifters to kind of turn on the system. Hit your shifter buttons a couple of times and make sure your Wi-Fi module is activated. And then we're going to go into press the menu button, which is over here. Press the menu button, and then we're going to scroll down using your scroll buttons here. Scroll all the way down to add sensor. Press add. So now it's going to kind of scan for sensors in the area. So I have this close enough. My wireless module is in my down tube, so it's only about a foot or two away. So it's going to scan. All right, now it says save Shimano Di2 question mark. Of course, yes. And now it says add gear selection data fields to pages. Well, that's kind of the goal here. I want to be able to see the gear that I'm in on my computer screen. So hit yes. All right, and so now Shimano Di2 shows up on the sensor menu here. These are the other sensors I have set up. And this just shows the relative signal strength of the Di2. So that's pretty good. All right, so now we're gonna leave the menu by pressing this button over here. Now it went ahead and added a data field to my main workout screen. This is fantastic. This shows your cassette. This shows what gear you're in on the cassette. You switch a gear and it moves over, switch it back, moves up. So it's going to show you that. And that's fantastic, but I don't particularly like this. This is nice and easy to see, so some of you might like that. I am going to reconfigure that in my Wahoo Element app. I'm using this app here. It's the Wahoo Element app, and I've already paired it. So I want to select the element that I have there. All right, now I'm going to go, I'm already in settings. So I'm in settings at the bottom. And this shows the different pages. So we're going to go to my workout data page. We have a climbing page, a map page, and some other pages that I have set up here, but we're going to go into the main workout page. That's where I am most of the time. And here are all the fields. You can have up to 11 fields of information that I've selected here. So if you go to the bottom, it says current gear visual, and that's what we see here. I don't like it this way, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to move it up into a different location. So we're just going to press it. I'm going to move it up one, and you see it moved it up here. I like that a little better. Just smaller, more compact, a little more out of the way. And if I do like it bigger, I can just take that back down. Again, So the other thing I can do, if you don't want it visual, you want the numbers. So we can go back into gear, back into our page selection, choose gear selection, and instead of current gear visual, just go to current gear. And that changed it to the numbers. So it's in gear number 2 in the front and gear number 5 in the back. So if you prefer to have it show up that way, then that's how you do that. So that's basically it. I prefer to have the visual myself. So I'm going to go back to visual. And it very quickly moves it back to visual. I actually like it right up here. That's where I prefer to have it. All right, so that's how you get your gear selection of your Shimano Di2 wireless system to show up on your Wahoo element. So if you like this video, please hit like below and please subscribe. All right, thanks for watching.